Jon Bon Jovi, the iconic rock star, has shared the struggles he never thought he'd face. His marriage to Dorothea Hurley, built on decades of love, has always been rock solid, but now everything is at risk. The two met as teenagers, and despite a brief separation when Jon dated Diane Lane, they've been together ever since. But now, a new challenge is threatening everything they've built. In 2022, while performing Living on a Prayer in Nashville, Jon's once unshakable confidence faltered. His voice, the core of his identity, was slipping away. High notes cracked. Long phrases left him gasping. What Jon thought was exhaustion turned out to be something far worse: vocal atrophy. Doctors confirmed his worst fear. One vocal cord was thickening unnaturally, while the other was wasting away. The voice that built his career was failing him. For Jon, singing wasn't just a job, it was who he was. Could COVID-19, which Jon contracted in 2021, have sped up the damage? Doctors believed it could have. But giving up? That was never an option. In June 2022, Jon underwent surgery to strengthen his cords, but recovery was a grueling fight. Every note had to be relearned. Jon's voice was no longer effortless. It was a struggle. Through this battle, Jon found support in Shania Twain, who had faced similar struggles. By 2024, his voice wasn't the same, but it carried a different kind of strength. Fans noticed the change in Bon Jovi's 16th album, Forever. The voice was deeper, rawer, and full of emotion. But behind the scenes, his marriage with Dorothea was facing its own test. As Jon's health and career teetered, Dorothea's unwavering support was being challenged in ways neither expected. Could she walk away as Jon's voice continues to fade? The legendary rock star's future and his marriage are now at a crossroads. Will Jon Bon Jovi find a way to keep fighting, or is this the end of an era? Jon Bon Jovi's battle. Is he about to lose it all? In April 2024, Dorothea Hurley skipped the screening of Thank You, Good Night, The Bon Jovi Story, and rumors spread like wildfire. Her absence from the red carpet raised questions, especially after Jon admitted he hadn't always been faithful during their 34-year marriage. Was their relationship on the brink of collapse? The truth was less dramatic, but just as challenging. Dorothea was recovering from COVID-19 and couldn't attend the event. A representative confirmed she was doing better, but the moment showed just how much public pressure their marriage had withstood. Behind the headlines, their bond remained rock solid. Jon and Dorothea's love story didn't start in the spotlight. Long before fame, they were high school sweethearts from Sayreville, New Jersey. As Jon chased his musical dreams, Dorothea pursued her passion for karate, eventually becoming an instructor. Their relationship wasn't built on celebrity, but on years of shared history. In 1989, amid Bon Jovi's rise, they shocked the world with a quick, no-frills wedding in Las Vegas. No flashy ceremony, no star-studded guest list, just the two of them, making a lifelong commitment. The music industry feared it would ruin Jon's appeal, but Dorothea never cared about the rock star image. She saw the man behind the fame. For over 3 decades, Dorothea has stood by Jon, offering honesty and support. She never hesitated to tell him the truth, even when it was painful. This wasn't just a marriage, it was a partnership built on unwavering trust. During Jon's vocal struggles, it was Dorothea who delivered the harsh reality he needed to hear. While others may have sugarcoated the situation, she was his biggest truth teller. Their relationship had always weathered the challenges of fame, temptations, and the exhausting road life. Jon's music often reflected the tension between fame and family. Songs like Bed of Roses in 1993 depicted the conflict of being away from home while under the spotlight. Despite the fame, Dorothea chose to stay grounded, running her karate studio and mentoring at-risk youth, all while Jon's world was in constant chaos. As Jon's voice faltered, the pressure of fame began to wear him down. On stage, he was the larger-than-life rock legend, but behind the scenes, he was falling apart. Between 1988 and 1990, Bon Jovi's New Jersey World Tour included over 230 shows across the globe. The pace was brutal, and Jon was breaking under the weight. It all began with a warning sign in Tokyo, where Jon's voice cracked during Wanted Dead or Alive. To fans, it seemed like exhaustion, but backstage, Jon was struggling. The pressure was suffocating, and the toll on his body was becoming impossible to ignore. Desperate to keep going, Jon turned to extreme measures: ice baths, marathon runner breathing exercises, anything to stay upright. But it wasn't just physical exhaustion. His mind began slipping, and songwriting, once a passion, started to feel like a chore. By early 1991, Jon hit rock bottom. While driving along the Pacific Coast Highway, he nearly lost control of the car, his body and mind on the brink. For the first time, he had to confront his limits. A few nights later, during a performance, Jon collapsed on stage from exhaustion. The official statement was exhaustion, but everyone knew it was more than that. Jon Bon Jovi's body had finally rebelled. The relentless grind of fame had taken its toll, and for the first time since his rise, everything stopped. The tour was postponed, and Bon Jovi's machine came to a halt. Jon had to confront a truth he had been running from. His body wasn't invincible. As Jon began to recover physically, the cracks in the foundation of Bon Jovi's empire became apparent. Would Jon Bon Jovi be able to overcome not just his health crisis, but the toll fame had taken on his marriage and his life? Jon Bon Jovi faces his hardest test: a band in crisis and a family on the edge. In 2013, the unthinkable happened. Richie Sambora, the guitarist who had been with Bon Jovi since the beginning, suddenly vanished from the stage. No warning, no explanation, just an absence where there had always been a presence. The band was in shock. Richie left during the "because we can tour without a fight or money dispute" as the tabloid suggested. He just didn't show up. Jon Bon Jovi was blindsided. He framed it as Richie's choice, but behind the scenes, the pain was evident. For over 3 decades, they had shared everything, from chart-topping hits to sold-out stadiums. Now Jon had to carry the weight alone. The tension had been building for years. Jon's relentless push forward met Richie's growing desire to step back. Richie was struggling to balance his love for the band with his commitment to his family. His daughter, Ava, had become his priority, and the pressures of the road made it harder to heal from his past struggles with substance abuse. The strain was too much by the time 2013 came, and Richie's absence wasn't a sudden decision. It was the culmination of years of unspoken frustration. Their bond, once unbreakable, was now unraveling. The fans couldn't fathom Bon Jovi without Richie, but Jon had no choice but to carry on. In 2018, a brief moment of nostalgia at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame offered hope as Richie returned to perform with Jon. The chemistry was still there, but it was just that, a fleeting moment. After the performance, they went their separate ways, and Jon continued leading Bon Jovi while Richie embraced a quieter life. But as Jon's band fractured, another crisis was unfolding at home, one that hit even harder. A phone call that would change everything. Jon had handled late-night calls for decades, emergencies, tour changes, last-minute problems. But this time, it wasn't about music. It was about his daughter, Stephanie. He learned that she had been found unconscious in her dorm room. It wasn't alcohol. It was something far worse: a heroin overdose. In that moment, Jon Bon Jovi, the rock star, was no more. He was just a father, paralyzed by fear, facing a crisis no amount of fame or success could control. Stephanie survived, but Jon would never be the same. The world he had built came crashing down in an instant. For years, Jon had been the one to fix everything, to push through any obstacle. But this was different. Jon Bon Jovi faces his hardest battle yet: a struggling marriage, fading voice, and a band in crisis. Jon Bon Jovi's world was falling apart. This wasn't a battle he could outwork or fix with determination. His daughter's near-fatal overdose shattered him. For the first time, he was powerless. It was a stark reminder that even the strongest people are helpless when it comes to the ones they love most. And just when he thought things couldn't get worse, the storm continued. The band was in a legal battle with their record label. A completed album, a labor of love, sat shelved in corporate limbo, trapped in negotiations that led nowhere. Then there was Richie, the band's cornerstone for over 30 years. Without warning, he walked away from it all, leaving Jon blindsided. One moment they were bandmates, the next, Richie was gone. This wasn't like any pressure Jon had faced before. The fire inside him, the drive that once pushed him to legendary heights, was flickering. People noticed. Jon wasn't himself. The easy confidence that defined him was dimmed. He was quieter, more withdrawn, carrying an invisible weight. But through it all, Dorothea was there, his rock. They'd been together since their teenage years, long before the fame. The world saw them as the rare rock and roll couple, but their bond was deeper than surviving fame. When everything felt unsteady, Dorothea remained his constant. With her by his side, Jon made changes. Priorities shifted. The relentless pace of touring slowed. Family became his focus, and music became more than just a message of resilience. It became about knowing when to let go, when to lean on others, and finding strength in surviving what nearly breaks you. Jon Bon Jovi's road to recovery is ongoing as he battles a fading voice, a broken band, and a challenging marriage. Can he find the strength to keep it all from falling apart? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.